Hello, this is Xbox Ahoy, and this is the bonus footage from my time with the Chicom CQB. I'm a little bit out of sync with the old bonus footage, but I'll catch up eventually. You know how it is, sometimes you're really productive, other times you are, shall we say, less productive, and it's kind of been one of those weeks. But I'm not here to make excuses or anything like that, I'm just here to answer questions. 48 Connors asks, "Hey Stu, I saw you playing the new game mode, Arms Race. What is your opinion on it? Also, would you be open to the introduction of more game modes?" Now, for those who don't know, Arms Race is basically just Team Deathmatch, but instead of getting 100 points for your score streak every kill, you get 150, so score streaks rack up 50% faster. Now, you see, for me, that's not necessarily a good thing, because I don't really play for streaks too often. I tend to, obviously I'm going for the gunplay, I want gun clips. But, as you notice, sometimes I don't always play alone, and well, the people I play with have a bit of a say in the game mode that we play. And so sometimes, people want to get their streak on, they want to get their hogs and their dogs, so we play Arms Race to make it a bit easier for them. Regular Team Deathmatch, whilst I love it for the absence of most of the major streaks, it can be a little bit difficult if that's what you're shooting for, because, well, there's not that many kills on offer, there's not that many points, so the game's often over before you get the big streaks. So yeah, I don't mind Arms Race, it is basically just a TDM variant, but I do prefer regular TDM for the simple reason that I'm not a big fan of streaks. I actually really like that Black Ops 2 doesn't have that many streaks going on in Team Deathmatch and Free-for-All especially. It's more sort of gun on gun, which I really like. Anyway, as far as other game modes, I guess there's no real harm in trying temporary game modes. At this point in the game's life cycle though, I doubt we'll see any sort of new major modes introduced. But who knows what Treyarch have up their sleeves. Several Gecko asks, what is your opinion on Nintendo's recent initiative to claim revenue on all Nintendo gameplay videos on YouTube? Now, there was a bit of a kerfuffle about this a couple of weeks ago now, where Nintendo were laying claim to videos on YouTube and monetizing them for their own gain. Which, for the smaller Let's Player, not a huge deal, just means they get some adverts which do them no benefit, but for the large Let's Players, it means they lose their advertising revenue, and they might very well take a dent to their income. Now, this sort of copyright issue, the thing is, right, Nintendo are entirely within their rights to do this. Technically, they own the right to gameplay videos. It's a derivative work of the game. And the same's true for any game. I don't own the rights to Call of Duty footage. It's by the grace of Activision and through my partnership with Machinima that I can actually get away with it and monetize it myself. And it's these sort of copyright issues don't really have much of a precedent. But there is kind of a vulnerability there from a legal perspective. It's like a sword of Damocles across anybody who produces content for YouTube, especially those who actually make it their primary income, such as myself. So for Nintendo to take this step and actually claiming some of this advertising revenue, it is kind of worrying. And obviously if other game publishers sort of took the same route, it could be harmful to the YouTube community. Having said that though, being with Machinima does offer me some protection, offers me some deals, and gives me some leeway. And I think most companies recognise that there are some merits to allowing fan-created videos to circulate on the internet. Some games, some very popular games, such as Minecraft, in part owe their success to YouTube, so it's little wonder that, a lot of publishers want to sort of cash in on that viral market. So the whole Nintendo thing, it's kind of worrying. It's a little bit disappointing that Nintendo have decided to go that route. It remains to be seen whether they're going to backtrack on it or not, but yeah, this is the nature of the industry. There isn't much in the way of copyright precedent when it comes to video games. So a lot of what we do as content creators is kind of murky water. But as these precedents are set, it's probably something that will eventually become crystal clear. The Dire Charlton asks, Stu, do you smoke or your girlfriend? Short answer, no, neither of us do. In fact, I don't think either of us ever have. Minecraft E Pac-Man asks, Stu, are you going to get Call of Duty Ghost? And if so, will you do a weapon guide for it? I think it's pretty likely on both counts, yeah. I suppose it kind of depends on when the Xbox One is actually released onto how this all works out. But it's likely I'll be buying it for the new generation, and yeah, it's very likely that I'll do a series of videos. Call of Duty weapon guides are kind of my thing, and I think to stop doing them cold turkey, that would be kind of a betrayal of my channel's intent, implicit or otherwise. So yeah, you can pretty much bank on Call of Duty Ghost weapon guides, although this comes with a caveat that they might not be quite in the same form factor as the Black Ops 2 weapon guides. I think it's pretty obvious that one of the ways that Call of Duty has changed over the years is it doesn't quite have the year-long draw that it once had. The one weapon a week formula, that was kind of baked during Modern Warfare 2 days, and it worked pretty well for that season. And it worked pretty well for Black Ops 1 as well, right up until I got hired by Activision. But after coming back from that, it's pretty clear that the churn on the series is a little bit higher now. So when it comes to doing a Call of Duty Ghost series, I'm going to be looking to not commit for a whole year. This means I want to do the weapons more quickly. So we're looking at least 2 weapons a week, maybe 3 weapons a week. I would dearly love to be done with all of the weapons by, let's say, 3 months. As for what this means for the actual weapon guide, remains to be seen. There probably will be some concessions made. For instance, one thing that I do in Black Ops 2 is I guild the weapon. I get it to max prestige. That's a little bit time efficient. And I record hours and hours of footage that I have to spend hours and hours sifting through. It's a bit of a time sink. So with COD Ghosts, I might just record a few hours worth of gameplay with the weapon. That might mean I don't have as many quad feeds, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter a huge deal. Another thing I might do is I might focus on primary weapons only. I know there are people out there who love using the pistols, the machine pistols, the special weapons, and the launchers, but the core demand is always for the assault rifles, always for the SMGs, and so it probably makes sense to satisfy those demands with a higher priority. So bottom line, yes, absolutely, you can bank on a Call of Duty Ghost weapon guide. It is going to be slightly different. It's going to be a faster turnaround. The series is going to be better designed to fill demand more rapidly, which, I mean, ultimately benefits my audience, it benefits me more as well. Best of all, I won't be stuck doing the same game for an entire year, which is, I think it's a little bit too long. Guy Roger asks, how come we rarely, if ever, see clips of you using the recommended class? Well, I do try to sort of stick to my recommendations, but that's kind of dependent on a couple of factors. The first is that when I start recording, I've got a very solid idea of the sort of thing that I want to use the weapon for. If I've got a solid class concept from the get-go, then brilliant. You can bank on me using something like that most of the time. However, it's not always that simple. When I record, what I tend to do, I tend to prestige the weapon. I'm going for gold max prestige. And that means if I'm recommending an attachment that's quite a late unlock, I won't have that much time with that attachment. Like with the Scar H build, the penetration power build, which is a really nice class concept and it's a pretty good fit for the weapon. I had that idea from the start, but extended clip is a late unlock, FMJ is a relatively late unlock, and I was using both of those pretty much full time as soon as I unlocked them. But overall, it's a relatively small amount of the time that I recorded with. And I mean, I suppose I could sort of, once I've reached max prestige, I could carry on playing, but by that point I've probably got about 6, 7, 8 hours worth of gameplay. And to record any more, I'd just be, I'd be making more work for myself. So I do try to use the recommended class, but sometimes the unlock system makes it a little bit difficult. Some of the challenges, they kind of influence the sort of loadout I'm using as well. Like there's 150 kills without attachments, 150 kills without perks. I tend to do those 2 challenges separately as I can still retain a relatively effective loadout with a full complement of 6 perks. And likewise with 3 attachments, even without any perks, you can still have a reasonably effective build. But that means for 300 recorded kills, I'll have no perks for one set and no attachments for the other. Which, when you're trying to demonstrate a certain set of perks and attachments, it isn't always easy. But I've got to get those kills anyway, and I record them because if I get a quad spray, a quad spray is a quad spray, right? Sergeant Slayer 4657 asks, are you enjoying Metro Last Light? Yes, I did, yes. I completed it about a week ago now. I actually recorded my playthrough as well because I am planning on making a Metro Last Light video. Although thanks to my lack of productivity, it's going to be hopelessly out of date by the time it emerges, but emerge it will nonetheless. But yes, I actually had a good time with Metro Last Light. It was engaging, it was atmospheric. Altogether, it was pretty well put together. I definitely enjoyed it. Some of the characters are a bit two-dimensional, and sometimes the populated areas of the Metro, it feels a bit like an amusement park ride. You're forced to walk very slowly and you just potter through and it feels like everyone's just putting on a show for you. So while the atmosphere's there and it does kind of convey this sense of what Metro is all about, it does feel a little bit fake, if that makes any sense. But the bits where the action happens, the bits where you actually get to shoot stuff and, go into the surface, all of that's brilliant. Loved it. I'm Insidious asks, hey Stu, when will you start uploading on Drinks Ahoy? I have a thirst for content. I do have a Drinks Ahoy special planned. It's been in the works for a while, but I just need the time to produce it. It's probably not that much work, probably about a week's worth. And I'm pretty dead set on doing it once I finish the Black Ops 2 series, so that'll be in about 10 weeks' time. It's a pretty meaty bit of content as well. It's 15 minutes long, and it's a comprehensive history of the most popular style of beer in the world, that is to say lager. So that will be the first video that, well, inaugurates the Drinks Ahoy channel, and that'll also be the place where any sort of future drinks content that I do will go. I don't have any sort of solid plans for regular content there, but I can see myself doing occasional videos for that channel. I mean, if this lager special does reasonably well, I might extend the format to cover different styles of beer. I'd dearly love to cover the history of stouts and porter, if only to serve as an excuse to buy a whole bunch of stouts and porters. As far as more lightweight content, like Beverage Guide Express, I do have a couple of ideas that might work in that sort of regard. But we'll see how it goes. Claim Mister says, Stu, why'd you call it the Chicom? I pronounce it the Chicom. Well, the name of this gun, well, first and foremost, it's a made-up name. So there are no official pronunciation manuals or guides like that. It's really down to Treyarch to decide how it's pronounced. However, I do have my reasons for saying Chicom instead of Chicom, and that is the convention of official English names for Chinese companies. Probably the best example of this is Norinco. Norinco is a Chinese manufacturer of firearms, amongst other things, and that's their official English name. They've got a Chinese name, which I won't even try and pronounce. My Chinese pronunciation is not particularly good. But Norinco is their official English name that they've sort of given themselves. And it's a contraction of North Industries Corporation, Norinco. So my presumption is that Chicom is a similar contraction of something like China Company. And of course we say China, not China, so it will be Chicom instead of Chicom. That's my logic anyway, and I'm sticking to it. Ahoy PC asks, hello Ahoy Xbox, what do you expect from COD Ghosts? Well, if we go by the Xbox reveal event, what we can expect are fish what move and dogs. Apart from that, without more information, it's difficult to say. Now maybe I'm just getting cynical, but I'm thinking it's going to be pretty recognisable as a Call of Duty game. I don't think they're going to stray that far from the established formula. I know they've emphasised in the marketing that it's a completely different game, but I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty familiar. I must confess, I'm quite looking forward to seeing what the new hardware can do, the next gen of consoles. I appreciate that they're not that spectacular when you compare them to today's PC, but when you compare them to the Xbox 360, which is now what, from 2005, the next gen is a sight for sore eyes as far as performance is concerned. So I guess I'm quite excited to see what they're going to do with the increased overheads. The extra RAM, I think in particular, is going to prove particularly decisive when it comes to features like how many guns are in the game. And they made mention of a deeper customization system. So you can probably expect, to see for the first time character customization, i.e. you'll be able to change what helmet you wear, stuff like that. You probably see more camouflages, maybe more attachments, more of everything. But as far as the actual core mechanics, it's going to be another Call of Duty game. Anyway, coming to the end of the clips I have available, so I shall wrap this bonus footage up. This week, on Friday we have the RPG, and on Sunday we've got the grenade launcher attachment guide. In addition to that, I might try and get another bonus footage out later this week, maybe on Thursday. Depends on how much time I get. I also have a Metro Last Light video in the works. I couldn't promise any particular day for that. I can only really work on that in between the cracks of the Black Ops 2 series, and I haven't been at my most productive. I think I've come down with something. My glands were up the other day, had a bit of a sore throat. I'll blame the girlfriend for that when she was ill this week. I haven't been feeling too bad or anything like that, but even a slight bout of illness, it can take the wind out of your sails a little bit. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, farewell.